right, we're going to get started here. So this is the second weekly Twitter space. We're doing AMAs, so it's an Ask Me Anything about tokenomics. Got a couple questions this week from some people, and going to be recapping that. So this is Nate, official ESC, answering questions here. And so let's get started. So the first question we got this week, I had a question from Octopus, who's part of the token engineering community. We're going to be doing a discussion about this in a couple days, should come out in a couple weeks. The first question that I want to talk about we got this week is, what are the ethics of crypto? And it's a really broad question, kind of related to tokenomics. I think it underlies everything in tokenomics. There's a great quote from Nick Fett of Telor, who talked about the idea that your values are coded into the applications that you build. So your values are coded in at inception or at the creation of your smart contract. And I think this speaks to the goal orientation of crypto, where crypto was initially about providing an alternative to the banking system and to all of the interdependencies, the kind of the gatekeeping that was surrounding the banking system through governments, through bureaucrats, and through the Federal Reserve. And so Bitcoin's values were clearly coded in at inception. Satoshi talked about some of the ideological underpinnings of Bitcoin in the white paper, obviously included the article title from the Times in the Genesis block in the Opportune. And so I think any discussion of ethics in crypto are going to deal with this goal of crypto as disintermediation and providing an alternative to the trusted third-party model in payments. So that's maybe the first way to answer this. And I think, the other facets of ethics in crypto are surrounding what crypto's role, or what role people have in crypto. So some people are in crypto to make money, and there are ethics associated with that. Some people are in crypto to build things. There are ethics associated with that because, like we mentioned, the values of your application are built into the code itself. So these are some things that I think Octopus and I will be discussing this weekend and probably releasing in the next 2 weeks or so. So I'll get more into that on that podcast, and we'll highlight him, and we'll let everyone know about that talk when it comes out. But that was one of the questions that we got this week. Second question that I got for our AMA is, why am I concerned about EigenLayer? And there are a bunch of reasons I'm concerned about EigenLayer, but I've been talking about it a little bit more publicly on Twitter lately. My first impression of EigenLayer was this can't be real. There's no way people think this is a good idea with shared security for L2s and other applications. Via rehypothecation of collateral. This is someone said a while ago, I think Ryan Sean Adams might have said, crypto is speed running the history of finance and making all of the mistakes along the way. This is 2008. So crypto, Ethereum specifically, has a systemic risk to the degree that EigenLayer gets adopted. So I'm concerned about EigenLayer. I guess maybe I should preface this with, EigenLayer is for restaking. So EigenLayer is a way for people to use the same collateral to secure multiple different financial contracts. And these financial contracts are like L2 security, or they could be proof of stake for another system. They could be liquid restaking tokens, I suppose. There are a lot of ways that apps can plug into EigenLayer. And my general concern comes from my concern about all of ETH L2s and applications' economic security, which is essentially that ETH L2s are limited to the TVL that can be secured by mainnet. So the possibility for double spending is deterred to the extent that Ethereum is able to secure the network through proof of stake consensus. And eigenlayer decreases the value or the cost, I guess, the cost of attack, and so it incentivizes indirectly these types of reorg attacks in the name of capital efficiency. I mean, what eigenlayer is trying to do is make it more efficient for people to provide security to the network. They're using less capital, but providing the same security. The trade-off there is between two principles of tokenomics: economic security and protocol utility. So to the degree that you are providing utility to users, uh, you are missing out on some economic security or some value capture. These are the trade-offs between the principles of tokenomics, which you can read about on the Tokenomics website in the resources section. And so this is an example, a prime example of the trade-offs between the experience of mercenary users and ultimately the essential users who are subsidizing security of the protocol and the economic security of that protocol, the alignment of incentives in it. So I'm not sure if this problem with eigenlayer will be transparent until it's too late. That's my concern. DeFi is regrettably transparent, but so is Terra. And the way I see eigenlayer potentially turning out is something like 2008, with an unclear valuation of the assets underlying the security of many different interdependent networks and applications. And so that's why I'm concerned about eigenlayer and why I've been talking about it publicly on Twitter recently. And so as a reminder, if you guys have any questions, see we have a couple new people. Thanks for joining here. If you've got any questions, I think it'd be good to, if you post those in, let's see, we'll retweet this right now so people can post right underneath. If you've got any questions, priority goes to those. I'm just reading off some of the questions that I fielded this week. So the third question was about tokenomic mechanisms. It was for an example of tokenomic mechanisms. And this is something that we'll be talking about next week in a Twitter space with Vasily Sumanov, who created the periodic table of mechanisms. Really interesting guy and great theory. He was the first one to start classifying tokenomic mechanisms, which are the ways that a token is used in a protocol which cause it to accrue value. And we were asked for an example of tokenomic mechanisms. And I started by distinguishing the supply side and demand side tokenomic mechanisms. So supply side tokenomic mechanisms affect supply by decreasing the supply, creating a degree of artificial scarcity, or taking coins out of circulation in order to inflate the price. Demand side tokenomic mechanisms affect demand and either increase the amount of value flowing through a system or increase the amount of demand for a token in other ways. That's going to correspond to the type of token that it is, whether it's a currency-like, commodity-like, or equity-like token. And then, of course, we also have distribution mechanisms, which are sort of tokenomic mechanisms, more like on the supply side. So a couple examples of these, now that we've framed them, a supply side tokenomic mechanism, an example there would be like a lockup or a burn. These are things that are decreasing the supply of tokens and ultimately affecting the order book by taking away sell pressure. And that's what Vasily and I will be talking about next week in our AMA at the same time. Demand side tokenomic mechanism would be like use as a medium of exchange or use as collateral. And this is going to increase the demand for a token to be used in the protocol. And so next week, Vasily and I are going to be exploring all of the different tokenomic mechanisms and exactly how they affect the order book. So definitely tune in for that. And if you have any questions in advance, post those on the tweet that's going to follow. We're going to tweet about it tomorrow and announce this in a text form. And you can post underneath and we'll answer your questions in that space. The next question was about what does Tokenomics do? So we launched Tokenomics 2 weeks ago, and we got the question, what does token dynamics do, and where does token dynamics fit into the token whatever ecosystem? To be token economics, tokenomics, tokenology. There's a lot
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
of different words. I'm going to sidebar for a little bit. There are a lot of different words for tokenomics, and I am hoping that we can just consolidate on one. So I picked the most simple, even though I don't like it. I think people are going to use the word tokenomics because it's got less syllables than everything else, and I tend toward the use of shorter words because people prefer that. And I think using more words for the same thing is ultimately counterproductive. And so I really don't like the way that the space has tried to rebrand tokenomics 1,000 times. I think we should just return to the original word. But anyway, we got this question: what does token dynamics do, and where does it fit into the token or tokenomics ecosystem? So I want to start by framing, the specific. Let's go with the specific things that let's frame this. So the token engineering or token economy, token economics ecosystem has a few different players, and they're taking on different functions. So you've got like token engineering, which is pretty math heavy and focused on how to incentivize users. They do a lot of simulations. You've got tokenomics, which typically refers to like the supply side of the equation. People say, here's our tokenomics, and they'll give a pie chart. That is a very small subset of tokenomics. And then you have like people that are doing R&D on mechanisms, so like Crypto Econ Lab. You've got people that are just aggregating tokenomic mechanisms and implementing those in protocols. So these are like the token economists, the people that are just designing these economies. And token dynamics does a little bit of all of that, but where we really fit in is in protocol design and mechanism design. So a bit of R&D. So protocol design is like features for existing protocols that are included in order to capture value to their token. So we do that for existing successful protocols that have some funds in the treasury that are interested in maximizing the value of their token based on its use in the protocol or based on additional value flows. So that is one aspect of what token dynamics does. Another aspect is mechanism design. So pure mechanism design, trying to synchronize the interests of various user groups. So we design mechanisms for protocols to use, and we're sitting on a gold mine of tokenomic mechanisms that are just ready to deploy to the right protocol. So in particular, something I'm thinking a lot about right now is the spam prevention mechanism that we have for a chat protocol. And if you have a chat protocol, please reach out to us. We're in talks with some people, and we'd like to deploy this mechanism to the best protocol, the one that's going to accrue the most value and make the best use of it. And this is a way to prevent spam in messaging between users. It's a novel mechanism that hasn't been included in any protocols to date. So these are the kinds of things that we do for mechanism design. And that's one aspect of what token dynamics does. Another is in demand-side tokenomics. So this is the framework that we created to guide developers and founders through the demand-side tokenomics principles of tokenomics, which are protocol utility, value capture, and economic security. So this is the framing for what it is that we do, and within that, we work at various levels. So we can be simply appraising and documenting the tokenomics that you have for users and investors, or internally to clarify the direction that you're thinking about going. We also have advisory, so guidance in designing your protocol and token to be maximally useful, valuable, and secure. And we've got protocol design, like I said, features for existing protocols that are capturing or accruing more value to a token. And then we do economic security modeling, simulations in CAD, machinations, tools like that. So this is the answer to what does token dynamics do? This question that we got this week. Next question we got is, what do we get out of this? So we got this from a client. This was, the kinds of things that we can do for clients. At a minimum, you will learn how to communicate the value of your protocol to users and investors in a way that's intuitively obvious to even the most casual listener or observer. So this is through, we at the very basic, at the most basic level, we're documenting people's existing tokenomics in ways that are going to appeal to the people they're trying to raise funds from or get advisory from. And then we're also speaking to users, which is a completely different level of technical detail. So these are kind of the ways that we're documenting tokenomics that are tailored specifically to a particular audience. It depends on what your goals are, where your protocol is in development, what you're going after. But these are the kinds of things that we do at an intro level. And so at the very minimum, the services that we're providing are clarity and documentation of your existing tokenomics. And this is through what you're going to get is the mental models and the identification of the unique value propositions of your protocol, how the token works and accrues value. And if it doesn't, we'll tell you, and then we'll help you fix it. So this is a short, simple answer to what it is that we do and what you get out of the types of services that we provide at a high level. So these are some of the questions that we fielded this week. And at this point, I want to open it up to any audience questions, go through some of the questions that we might have on the Twitter. If there's nothing else, then we're going to close out this space. It is recorded, so you can go listen to the rest of it if you're just joining now. But if you've got any questions, feel free to request the mic, and we'll answer those for you. I'm seeing two right now. Hey, thanks for the space. I've already worked on token projects as a smart contract developer, but it was always either in a naive way or for a proof of concept implementation. How can I get started in tokenomics as a dev if I want to anticipate some income from the tokens buy and sell? This is a great question. It's like really, really well laid out. Thank you for the context. And so the question is, how can I get started in tokenomics as a dev if I want to anticipate some income from the tokens buy and sell? As a developer, I think getting started in tokenomics, I'm wondering if this question is about getting started as a token economist or getting started developing protocols to accrue value to a token. So I'll answer the first one and then I'll answer the second one. So as an intro, as an initiate level token economist, definitely reach out to us. Talk to us. Schedule a meeting if you're interested in working in tokenomics, because we're looking for people that want to do this on projects for our clients, and we'd be happy to upskill you and teach you everything you need to know. So that would be, maybe one way to get started in tokenomics. And also check out the resources that we have on the website. They're going to be growing, migrating some of those over from eatsleepcrypto.com to tokendynamics.xyz. And you can find all of those resources in either the resources tab of Token Dynamics website or on the, historical infinite scroll of Eat Sleep Crypto. And so the second point is, as a developer, how can you think about tokenomics and get started on tokenomics? And this is exactly what we help developers do for their protocols. We like to help people at every stage of development. So the earlier that we can come in and help a protocol, the more value we're going to be able to provide. So I would say reach out to us for that as well. But to get started and kind of get an understanding, the best place to start is going to be with the Principles of Tokenomics article that's in the resources section of tokendynamics.xyz. And that is the mental model, the starting point that you'll want to use to think about tokenomics and the trade-offs between each of these three principles: protocol utility, value capture, and economic security. So that is the place to start, probably regardless of whether you're an aspiring token economist or a developer who would like to improve their tokenomics. These are the things you need to be thinking about, is those three principles and the trade-offs between them. And so another question we got here in the comments: how is the token design step, and in general, tokenomic design, how does this differ when working with NFTs instead of fungible tokens? That is a great question. I love this question. Thank you for asking this, BitBop. Okay, so NFTs are a totally different model. The way that I think about NFTs is like country club membership, and I'm speaking about profile picture NFTs. There might be, yeah, I guess you could think about it like tickets as well, for NFTs broadly. But I mentioned that there are three analogs for fungible tokens. They're commodities, equities, and currencies. These are three TradFi assets that map really well to the types of mechanisms that you can employ. And NFTs are sort of a fourth asset class, but they're not really an asset. They're more like tickets, or more like memberships to things. But let's say tickets broadly. They're going to, they could even be like certifications. There's so many things that you can do with NFTs, but the way to think about any token is what utility underlies the token. What does it get you? That is the starting point for fungible and non-fungible tokens alike. And there are definitely, you don't want to mix the properties of NFTs and fungible tokens. They should be valued and treated very differently. They have different properties, and mostly it's that they have different functions. And that said, I think a lot of NFTs could actually be fungible tokens, but there are some advantages to having them be non-fungible and uniquely identify a particular aspect or a particular identity. I'm thinking profile picture NFTs right now, so my mind has been somewhat poisoned by the PFP trend, along with everyone else's. But those are a couple thoughts on NFTs versus fungible tokens. I hope that answered some of your questions there. It seems like you're thinking about a particular protocol, and if you'd like help with that, we'd love to chat. Feel free to schedule something. Check out that Principles of Tokenomics article, and then go to our contact page and send us a message. We've got, it's anonymous there, and you can send a message from any email, and we'll reach out back to you from our newly integrated Skiff email. We take privacy very seriously, and we're happy to use whatever platform that you'd prefer discussing things on, whether that's email, or we're creating our own Jitsi server, or whatever else other medium of communication you'd like to use. Status might be another one. But in any case, reach out to us. We'd be happy to help out with that. And so, yeah, it looks like that's the last question that we got. Yeah, I think that's probably a pretty good space to leave off. Thanks for asking those thoughtful questions. Hopefully we were able to give you some insights, and we're glad to share the kinds of things that we're working on, thinking about, and the kind of questions that we're fielding throughout the week. And a final reminder is that next week we will be doing this with Vasily Sumanov, who is the creator of Periodic Table of Mechanisms. So if you're interested in mechanism design or in tokenomics as a discipline, I think this is going to be a really interesting talk for you. If you're working in a protocol or designing and building anything, this is going to be interesting for you as well. So thank you for joining today, and we'll be closing this space out. I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you next week, and please leave some comments so that we have more questions to answer. We love answering your questions in particular, and are looking forward to sharing more. So thanks so much, everyone. Have a great one.